yeah. Welcome to Big Boof Bets. It's the Get Dat Money podcast. It is week 7. I am Nate Stevenson, as always joined by Mr. Big Boofy Skierman and Tony T-Bone Guarino. How's everybody doing today?
Pretty good, man. Already got 2 work days out of the week under our belt. And I'm looking forward to talking a little ball and making some picks today.
Very nice, very nice. How about you, Tone?
Now, I know Baltimore is definitely near a bay, right? Near a body of water. We got no problems there, right?
Absolutely, Chesapeake Bay.
Yep.
So let the sea levels rise, and let's take down Baltimore with my ever-growing list of cities week to week here. All joking aside, I mean, hey, it's a definite different landscape as we continue to talk about out there in the COVID NFL. So all the more excitement they get on the week 7.
Yeah, man, the back door is rarely open in Baltimore, so I think we all felt your pain with that, as did our listeners. So speaking of that, let's look at those locks last week.
Well, we went 5-4 on a 9-lock week, bringing our season total to 23, 18-1, and that actually brought our percentage down to 56.1%. So I guess 2 ways of looking at it. You know, our percentage went down, so in that sense it stinks. But at the same time, we had a winning week, and a winning week was still going to bring us down. That's how well we've been doing so far. So I'm going to prefer to look at it on the more positive side there. Specifically, we had the Ravens minus 7.5 last week. Probably the most frustrating one. Ravens really jumped out in front early on the Eagles. And the old backdoor got us, as you were talking about there a minute ago, Nate. We had the Steelers and Browns over 51. Cleveland's offense just didn't show up. Rams minus 3.5. I really felt like the Rams were going to be able to handle the Niners in that one. That one was very disappointing. And then the Cardinals-Cowboys, we had over 54. Just not enough points from the Cowboys end in that one. Our winners, we had the Bengals plus 8, which they actually jumped out to an early lead. We're not able to win the game, but still were able to cover, no problem. Dolphins minus 8. They covered pretty easily, and we actually saw the Tua debut by the end of the game. We had the Chiefs conditionally at minus 3, and I know Nate was able to get them there on Wednesday, so that was a winner for us. Cards minus 2.5. They had no problem at all. And then we had the Lions also conditionally at minus 3. And they were available from Wednesday throughout the week at minus 3. So no problems there. But yeah, 5-4. We'll take it. But we're looking to do better this week.
Always, man. Want to win them all.
Amen.
All right, with that, let's kick into this week. Back to Thursday night football. We'll start with the New York Giants at the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles are going to lay 4. And you're over-under at 43.5.
So this is one of those games I don't feel strongly enough on either side to really put something out there. My lean is Eagles minus 4. I would even lean the total under 43.5. But the Eagles just continue to be shredded by the injury bug. Now they're not going to have Miles Sanders or Ertz on Thursday night. The Giants just so inconsistent on offense, even though they should be a lot better. So I don't really feel good enough on either side of the ball here. So I'm going to stay away.
Yeah, similar thoughts on my end. My first knee jerk was Eagles minus 4. But again, it's just so many injuries with them, and I don't trust it enough to actually go ahead and follow through with the pick. So it's a pass.
All right, let's move on into Sunday, and we will start things off with the Buffalo Bills at the New York Jets. Bills laying at 13.5, and you're over-under at 45.5.
Boof, is 13.5 less than 14?
Yes.
Well, there you go. You lay the points with the Bills. We've said for weeks now, which honestly started in jest, but has really become kind of a general rule for us with the Jets is if the Jets are getting less than 14 points, then you bet against them. Guess what? they're getting less than 14 points. So you bet against them. And on top of that, there's some very, very hard data out there that says the Jets have not covered the halftime spread or the full game spread yet this year. That is the entire year. They have not covered the spread at either point in the game. So we already said they suck. They suck. They suck. Bet against the team that sucks. Bet against the Jets.
You suck!
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot more to add on to that. I mean, that is exactly what we're doing here. We are picking on the worst team in the NFL. Or I guess I should say we are picking against the worst team in the NFL.
We're kind of picking on them too, really.
We are picking on them, but I don't want people to be confused.
True that.
But yeah, like you said, it's under 14. Grab it while you can. This was at 12.5 when I woke up this morning. It's already at 13.5. So grab it now. It's a lock for us. Bills minus 13.5.
Oh yeah, lock it in. Get that money. Jets still suck.
Up next, we have the Carolina Panthers at the New Orleans Saints. Saints laying 7.5 in the over-under at 51.
I definitely come into this game thinking the Saints will win it, but not by more than a touchdown. The Saints have just shown an ability to not really pull away from anyone this year. As long as the Panthers are responsible with the ball, which Bridgewater normally is, on top of that normally being a cover machine, I feel pretty good taking the points with the Panthers here. They haven't really dropped off that much, maybe even, some could argue, maybe even at all offensively with the loss of McCaffrey, which is amazing considering what a talent he is. But I think a lot of it has to do with just Bridgewater doing a great job of running the offense, the defense playing better and growing at a quicker pace than anticipated. I got to say, I've been really impressed and surprised with how quickly Matt Rule has got the Panthers moving in the right direction. And like I said, you're looking at 7.5 here. I like it. I'm going to take the points with the Panthers.
Yeah, this was one I initially was going to stay away from, but Nate kind of talked me into it. And the final thing that really made me get on board was if you go back and look at the schedule for both of these teams, the Panthers have only lost by more than a touchdown once. That was against Tampa Bay in week 2. And the Saints have only won by more than a touchdown once. That was also against Tampa Bay. That was in week 1. And in that game, if you recall, there was like a blocked punt. There was a pick 6 by Brady. There was a kickoff that basically was recovered as an onside kick because Tampa Bay didn't field it on just like a regular kickoff. It wasn't like an actual onside kick. They just kicked the ball like 40 yards, and then Tampa didn't field it. Biggest cause for concern here is Michael Thomas being back and the Saints coming off of a bye. But truthfully, those are not enough for me to be scared off of the 7.5 from the Panthers. Love the Panthers plus 7.5. It's another lock for us.
Oh, yeah. Lock it in. Get that money.
Okay, moving on. We have the Cleveland Browns at the Cincinnati Bengals. Battle of Ohio. The Browns laying 3.5 in the over-under at 50.
I mean, a large part of me really wants to go, this is an equation game for me. Some could argue it still is because these are both of the teams in Ohio. So there's that. But I'm not going to stay away completely. I would lean the Browns to win at 3.5, at laying 3.5. I don't feel great about it. A large part of that has to do with, I think the Bengals are improving as a team, especially on offense. If you give Joey Burrow has shown, if you give him some time, they will score points. And the way to attack the Browns is through the air. That's why the last game between these two teams was 35-30 Browns. There was a ton of points scored. So obviously that would say lay the points with the Browns. You can, but I think the best way to go is honestly the total is only at 50 points with the Bengals' bad defense. And like I said, the way to beat the Browns is seemingly through the air. I think over 50 is a pretty good bet. So that's where I'm going to go in this game.
Yeah, I agree with you. I love the over 50 here. Biggest point being what you said there. Their first meeting was 35-30. That's a total of 65 points. This total is only 50. There might be concern about Baker's health. If he plays, is he not going to play? But I thought you had a great point during our discussion. Case Keenum is the backup, and Case Keenum really had his best year as a pro playing for Stefanski while he was the offensive coordinator at Minnesota. So I still think the Browns would be good enough to score on a Bengals defense that really isn't that good. And like we said, the Bengals scored 30 on them the first time. So I think you can feel very good about the over. And that is another lock for us this week.
Oh, yeah, lock it in. Get that money.
Moving on to another potential equation game, we have the Dallas Cowboys at the Washington football team. WFT going to lay 1 here, and you're over-under at 46.
You know what, Tone? You are exactly right. This started out as me and Boof trying to really parse this one several different ways. And we couldn't land on anything. And then finally, you just have to call it what it is. This is a poop plus poop equals poop game, and I don't want none of this poop.
Yep, I am going to put my mathematical hat on here as well and follow Nate's patented formula, and I'm going to pass.
Hail science!
All right, now that we've got our math lesson out of the way for the week, let's go ahead and move on to the Detroit Lions at the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons laying 2, and you're over-under at a whopping 56.5.
Now, the records may lead you to believe that this is another potential equation game, as we love to refer to such games of a questionable quality. But these two teams are actually pretty talented. Honestly, I kept wavering back and forth between not betting the game and Falcons -2, in large part because the Lions have gotten healthier. They've looked better. They had pretty rough schedule to start the season. Conversely, the Falcons obviously started the season awful. Just couldn't finish games. That's why they were 0-5 before last week. And then finally, with a healthy Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley on the outside, they put a beat down on the Vikes last week. So, and obviously that was also the first game with a new coach, which some will say does matter, some will say doesn't. Me and Booth personally see a lot more evidence to say that it does most of the time, at least that first week or two. Another thing that kind of hit us while we were talking about it was like last year when the Falcons finally won, they got hot. They finished the year 6-2. And my concern with going against the Falcons is that the same thing's going to happen here. They just put a beat down last week, the first game under new coach, and Julio was healthy. The offense looked really good, which was my rationale for wanting to go Falcons -2. We kept going back and forth, but in the end, probably going to stay away as far as it being a lock, just because the Lions do put some fear into some people. So I know it's a little longer breakdown for something I don't want to lock, but I really wanted to stress all my rationale with the Falcons here because I do like them and I will bet them, but I'm adding caution to all those who are.
Yeah, this game is as close to a lock as you can get without it actually being one. And just some additional causes for concern is just straight up, when I take the Falcons, somehow they find a way to screw me over. So it's a bit of a mental hurdle for me to get over. And at the end of the day, I am passing.
Well, fortunately, we don't do locks prices right style here. So it's not closest without going over. So you don't have to lock it. You're not obligated.
No, we didn't, baby.
All right, let's get on to our next game, which is the Green Bay Packers at the Houston Texans. The Packers laying 3.5, and you're over under at 56.
So big concern with the Packers is the health of tackle Brian Bulaga. Aaron Rodgers has looked really good this year when he does not get pressured. Last week against Tampa Bay was really the first team to consistently pressure him and get in his face. And they put a beat down on him. So the fact that Bulaga is possibly not playing is a very, very big deal. Having said that, the Packers are playing a Texans team that does not have a great D-line, does not get a lot of pressure on the passer, and plays a pretty soft style of coverage in the secondary. All things considered, that's normally going to work pretty well for Aaron Rodgers. So the fact that it's 3.5, I'm a little hesitant on that because Deshaun Watson and the Texans offense has been playing better. They took the Titans to overtime last week, who's obviously one of the best teams in the AFC so far this year to date. So I like the Packers to win. I would definitely like it a lot more at -3.
Would you say you would lock it if it was -3?
I would lock it at -3. That's my number.
Well, that's good to keep in mind. I really like the Packers -3.5. The Packers have only lost one game this year. And in all of their wins, all of them have been by at least a touchdown. Now, Nate kind of broke down the being able to get pressure on Rodgers element of it. I don't think that the Texans' defense is as good as Tampa Bay's, and I am not particularly concerned about that. I actually think the fact that Green Bay is coming off of a loss is a good thing. And I love the Packers -3.5. I love them even more if we are able to get them at 3. And we are going to use a conditional lock of Packers -3. So if we're able to find it there at any point during the week, we are going to count that. That being said, I personally, like if I see it go the other direction, if the line goes to -4, I'm probably going to grab it at -4 before it goes even higher because I really do like the Packers. But officially, we have a conditional Packers -3 lock.
Oh, yeah. Lock it in. Get that money. Conditionally.
Okay, for our final 1 o'clock game on Sunday, we have the previously postponed and now finally happening Pittsburgh Steelers at the Tennessee Titans. Steelers laying 2.5, and you're over-under at 51.5.
Doing my best to remove all Yinzer bias here, which I feel like I normally have to preface. I love the Steelers laying under a field goal. As we've said many times, the Steelers like to play close games a lot. Obviously, last week against the Browns was not that, which is highly enjoyable for this Yinzer.
Yes, it was.
But normally they do play close games. And what is a surprising, at least a little bit surprising, early season matchup between two undefeated teams for potential playoff seeding ramifications. I like the Steelers -2.5. What the Steelers do best is stop the run. What the Titans do best is run the ball. If the Steelers have shown anything, they're going to do their best to make you one-dimensional. They want to stop the run, and they want to unleash their pass rushers on the outside. And I have no reason to believe they're not going to try to do the same thing here. When they face an elite rusher this year, and they set their mind to shutting him down, they've done it. And I'm very much looking forward to see how that unfolds against the Titans. I'm not saying we're going to hold Derrick Henry down to under 50 yards here, but I do believe he will have their undivided attention. I do believe he will not crack 100 yards. And I do love the Steelers to cover 2.5. And also, on top of that, I also really, really like the over of 51.5 because the Titans have shown to have a pretty capable passing game as well. And the Steelers like to blitz a lot and put their secondary in harm's way. Sometimes they may get home, and times they don't. I do believe the Titans can take advantage of that as well. So I think they're going to score some points with two offenses here. So, yeah, I like this. I love the Steelers -2.5 and over 51.5.
Yeah, you know me. I normally stay away from the Steelers here, but I'm sipping the Kool-Aid right now, man. I love them -2.5. When I actually took a peek at the lines before last Sunday's games even kicked off, the Steelers were actually at +1 on this one. So in that sense, it stinks because it's moved a legit 3.5 points in the wrong direction if you wanted to pick the Steelers. But it's still under a field goal. At the end of the day, I expect the Steelers to win. And if you win, it's probably going to be by at least a field goal. So I love them -2.5. It is a lock for us. And I expect the Steelers to be the only undefeated team in the AFC by the end of the week.
Oh, yeah, Yinzer Nation on board. Lock it in. Get that money.
All right, so that takes us to the 4 o'clock hour. We'll start things off with the Seattle Seahawks at the Arizona Cardinals. Seahawks laying 3.5, and the over-under at another high of 56.5.
Very high total there, for sure. This is a really, really big game for both teams, but I would argue even more so for the Cardinals because they're trying to show that they're worthy of stepping up in class and contending for the division title. I do believe the Cardinals are a playoff team. The Seahawks, definitely a playoff team, and one of my preseason Super Bowl picks as far as representing the NFC. So I like the Seahawks to win this game, but I expect it to be a tightly contested game. These are two teams that have very, very good offenses, very, very dynamic quarterbacks. And Russell Wilson obviously playing at an MVP pace this year. He's just looked phenomenal. But it's one of those weird quirks. Maybe it's a division thing. I don't know. Like you say all those things like, oh, well, this is going to be a shootout. Obviously, that's what Vegas thinks. But when you look back, last year, these two teams combined for 40 points and 37 points in both of their division matchups last year. You have the Seahawks coming off of a bye. I believe they're going to do everything they can to have a great defensive plan, just do their best to slow down Kyler Murray. And also the Cardinals, I believe this is one of those games they have circled on their schedule. I think the best bet in this game is the under 56.5.
Yeah, this was a funny one because I know whenever we first began our discussion, I was like, knee-jerk reaction. I would take Seattle minus 3.5, but I don't love it. And I know the number's high, but I would take the over. And so we kind of started digging into the stats and looking at everything. Arizona has not played in a game that would have been over 56.5 points yet this season. Seattle's last two did not go over that number either. And it was just like, boy, 56 is that's just a high number. So we kind of landed on the under, and I like it a lot. And furthermore, I mean, Arizona just played Dallas. If you can't hit an over in a Dallas game, I mean, we're not hitting over 56 here, period. So love the under 56.5. It's another lock for us.
Oh, yeah, lock it in. Get that money.
Okay, moving on, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Los Angeles Chargers. I almost wanted to say insert town name here. The Chargers are laying 7.5, and your over-unders at 49.
I lean Jags plus 7.5, but I just don't feel strongly enough to go either way here. The many sources and things that I look at and listen to, one of them had a great point. Normally you like to be getting points with the Chargers and not laying points with the Chargers. And I don't want to lay over a touchdown with the Chargers, so I'm staying away.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like Herbert, but it is worth noting that they have not won a game with him at the helm yet. And we're talking about laying over a touchdown here. The Jags are always backdoor eligible. That's just not a number I'm comfortable with. So it is a pass. I will say if you can get Herbert at 260 yards again in the neighborhood, I would take the over. So keep an eye out for that until they start forcing your hand with a higher number. But if they're going to keep giving it to us, we're going to keep taking it.
Okay, moving on, we have the Kansas City Chiefs at the Denver Broncos. Chiefs laying 9.5, and you're over-under at 48.5.
So I'm looking at this game from 2 points of view, both of which favor the Chiefs, of course.
Clearly.
I mean, Chiefs, clearly. But Chiefs laying 9.5. Normally when the Chiefs are laying under double digits against a average to below average team, I really, really like that. They are here against the Broncos. We all know how injured the Broncos are, as we've been beating that drum now for a couple weeks. So I love laying under double digits with the Chiefs. And the other side of that as well is if you look at it as far as the Broncos putting up enough points, which obviously that's a big part of covering that as well. They haven't looked great on offense all year. I like the potential that Drew Lock has, but he still hasn't really done that much this year. They haven't scored more than 20 points with Drew Lock being under center yet this year. Last week, they beat the Patriots 18-12. And that had a lot more with the Patriots continuing to turn the ball over, which is very uncharacteristic for them. I don't think the Broncos are going to score enough, and I don't think they're going to stop the Chiefs enough to cover 9.5. So give me the Chiefs laying that 9.5, and my boy Patty Mahomes getting it done.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. Like you said, it's under 10 points. Chiefs against an average team that's got a poor offense. That's really all I need to hear. Chiefs found their running game against the Bills, and to me, they're just such a juggernaut on offense. And if they're going to decide to run the ball against favorable looks, I don't know what you do against them. So Chiefs minus 9.5. It's another lock for us.
Oh yeah, lock it in. Get that money. Chiefs.
Okay, for the final 4 o'clock game on Sunday afternoon, we have the San Francisco 49ers at the New England Patriots. Patriots laying 2.5 and the over-under at 45.
Bill Belichick is coming off a loss. He is at home, and the Patriots are giving less than a field goal. There is nothing else I like to hear more. Give me the Pats.
Yeah, I expect them to be able to rebound offensively, hold on to the ball above all. I don't know. San Francisco definitely played better than expected last week. But I don't know. I think they come back to more of one of the poorer teams. New England comes back to being one of the better teams. It's under a field goal. I love New England here, minus 2.5. It's another lock for us.
One more thing, Boof, too. Like, the 49ers still really beat up on defense. And you have a beat up front seven against Cam Newton. The way he's been playing this year, I think last week was more of a get back into the rhythm of the game and into game shape type of thing with him as well. So, yeah, I agree with you. I love the Patriots.
No doubt.
Lock it in. Get that money.
Okay, for our Sunday night game, we have the Tampa Bay Bucks at the Las Vegas Raiders. The Buccaneers are going to lay 3, and the over-unders at 52.5.
Absolutely love the Bucks here at -3. I believe they're playing a Raiders team that is very similar to a Packers team that they just laid the smackdown on. There's no way, with all due respect to Derek Carr, that he is as good as Aaron Rodgers. So you're giving me only 3 points with the Bucks that are getting healthier. Godwin is back in the fold. Gronk is looking younger and like his playmaking self. I like the Bucks -3, baby. I don't care about the Vegas fever. Tampa Bay overcomes it and gets it done.
Yeah, I agree again, buddy. And that Tampa Bay offense looked pretty good with Godwin being back in the lineup. So I expect them to continue to roll offensively. And they just held Green Bay to 10 points. So I know the Raiders had a great day against the Chiefs 2 weeks ago. But I do not expect them to have the same type of success in this one. Love Tampa Bay -3. And it's another lock for us.
Lock it in. Get that money.
Okay, so that takes us to our final game this week. Is our Monday Night Football game featuring the Chicago Bears at the Los Angeles Rams. Rams laying 5.5, and your over-under at 45.5.
My initial take on this game was Bears plus 5.5, which I still don't think is a bad angle. Their defense definitely playing well, even though they've been accused of being a fraud by many people, including us, for a good part of the start of the season here. They might not, but they might not be. That the defense is definitely not a fraud. And the offense, with Nick Foles at the helm, is doing just enough to win. And sometimes, I mean, if you have an elite defense, which, you know, the Bears, I'm not saying they are yet, but they could be, that can be enough to get you into the playoffs and make you a contender. So Bears plus 5.5, not a bad way to go. But upon diving in to this matchup farther, there was a very interesting trend I noticed. Last year, the Rams won 17-7. That's when the Rams were down and the Bears had Mitch Trubisky at quarterback, which we all know didn't get much done for him. 2018, the Rams were defeated 15-6 by the Bears. The common thread there is that there was 24 points scored in the game last year, 21 points scored in the game in 2018. When the Rams play elite defenses, or even really good defenses, they don't seem to score a lot of points. Now they don't have Brandon Cooks anymore, which not to say he was an elite receiver, but he was pretty good. Total's 45.5 here. Recent history, current season being taken into consideration, how both teams are looking, I think under 45.5 here is a fantastic bet, and that is my favorite bet of this game.
All right, yeah, Nate, this was one that you convinced me on during our discussion here. I'm on board with the under. Bears' last 3 games have had totals of 39, 39, and 28. Rams looked like crap last week. I'm on board with the under, and that's one more lock for us this week.
Oh, yeah, lock it in. Get that money.
All right, well, that wraps up Week 7. So, as always, I'll leave it to you, Mr. Boofy, to recap those locks, and both of you to add your final words.
All right, we have a potential of 10 locks this week. And it's always funny because I come in thinking I didn't really like that many games, and then I go through and I talk about it, and I love a lot of picks. So here they are. Bills minus 13.5. Panthers plus 7.5. Bengals and Browns to go over 50 points. We have the Packers with a conditional -3. Steelers minus 2.5. Seahawks and Cardinals to go under 56.5. Chiefs minus 9.5. Patriots minus 2.5. Bucks minus 3. And the Bears and Rams to go under 45.5. Nate or Tone, you got any teasers or parlays or anything like that you want to share this week?
Yes, we do. We definitely have a parlay we'd love to share with the people this week.
Beautiful.
Have a 9-team parlay that is, I would say, fairly safe. There's some, I introduced some elements of risk, but, some stuff I feel pretty good about. So we're going to go with the Chargers money line, Chiefs money line, Patriots minus 2.5, Bucks minus 3. We're going to go Bears plus 11.5. Or if you would love to substitute buying 6 points and take under 51.5, you can do that as well in place of that for the same odds of minus 230. We will go Steelers minus 2.5, Giants, Eagles under 52.5, Saints money line, and Brownies and Bengals over 43.5. That is a 9-team parlay, which gives you plus 35.25 on the odds, which means a $100 bet would win you $3,525. And let's all get that money this week.
Yeah, awesome parlay, man. Thanks for sharing. I might put that one in myself. If there's nothing else, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the podcast to everyone you know. Best of luck to everybody, and let's get that money.
Oh, yeah. Get that money.